Hello, and thank you for listening to episode 2 of Jay's Talk. This week, we're going to be getting into a lot of things, including some things we talked about last week that I want to go into a little bit more detail with. Okay, let's jump right into this. I want to thank everybody who listened to last week's episode and gave me some feedback. I really appreciate it and hope you continue to do that. I had a great time and took a lot of your advice for this week, so I hope you enjoyed the episode, and like I said, please give me some feedback at the end. All right, here we go. So I'd like to address again the COVID-19 virus pandemic, and I'd like to extend my sorrows and also let you know that you should be doing your part to help everybody and stay inside and wear your masks. All right. I'd also like to add something to that because an article by NPR just came out called "Despite Early Warnings, U.S. Took Months to Expand Swab Production for COVID-19 Tests." And it says the Trump administration will now spend billions of dollars to help states make COVID-19 testing more widely available. This, I think, is very, very important. I saw a video of a reporter being slammed by President Trump just for asking why his own White House staff has the tests, but the public has a hard time getting these better, faster tests. So we'll see how that plays out, and I really hope the tests become available so we can know sooner, so we can treat people sooner, and with any ailment, the sooner you find out, the sooner you treat it, the easier it's going to be to fix. So remember that, and like I said last episode, please don't be afraid to get tested. Aside from the virus, I really hope you listened to the song of the week last week, which was the Savage remix by Megan Thee Stallion featuring Beyoncé. I was just in a car ride with my best friend today. We were cruising around town, just listening to music and jamming to it. It's just really funny, and I'm honestly really surprised that Beyoncé would produce a single with someone so new and kind of a one-hit wonder. But okay, go Beyoncé. So as for the top 100 global charts, looking at the top again, not much has changed other than Rockstar took the spot of 6ix9ine's new song, and Blinding Lights by The Weeknd took the 5th spot, which used to belong to the Chicago Freestyle by Drake. So that's interesting. It's actually very interesting. If you look at the top 100, The Weeknd is really climbing up and taking a lot of Drake's spots. And usually Drake, when he releases a new album, covers the charts. So that's pretty interesting. And last week, he kind of was covering the charts, but now it's about 3 songs in the top 20. And The Weeknd is about the same, but it wasn't that way last week. So I'm really interested to see how high he's going to go and if he can make it to number 1. I'm not sure if he has yet. He's had a few really good hits, but I'm not sure if he's made it to number 1. I will give you an update on that one. But In Your Eyes, I think that's going to be the song of the week this week by The Weeknd. Again, it's called In Your Eyes. That one's really good. I like listening to it. And I don't know, I've always liked The Weeknd. I like, what was that one? Starboy. And then I don't remember what the album before that one was called. But there was 2 songs I like. And one featured Drake and one was called High for This. High for This was my chill just sit down and zone out song. Just check that one out too. So there's In Your Eyes and High for This by The Weeknd. So those are the songs of the week. So we've covered politics, the pandemic, and the top 100 charts for right now, but I want to ask you a question. So I was talking to my friend this week, and we were talking about open relationships and how one of my friends who was in an open relationship described it as you have two people who love each other that are free to do what they want as long as they don't, love another person, which I get what you're saying, but the friend I was talking about this with, I don't know, sorry, said if you two love each other and not supposed to love anybody else, then what's the point of seeing other people? And I just want to know your opinions on that because I'm very curious. It's never something I thought I could do. I'm just too jealous for it, and I can't not say that because I'm definitely a jealous person. But yeah, what's your opinion on that? Leave it on. You can either send me a message through Anchor or all my social media handles are here. So send me a message there because I really want to know what other people think. So I know I keep saying I have these quote-unquote friends that I'm talking about, but if I'm talking about them personally, I don't want to say their names and I don't want to say too much. But I have this one friend who was in a relationship that didn't end well, and it ended with her being completely ghosted after, she was kind of expecting it, but she wasn't, and she still hasn't talked to her since, but she's still hurt over it. So I gave her a FaceTime call, because we don't really hang out that much, and she just finally broke down and cried. And I cannot tell you how good it felt to see that, because sometimes you really need to get feelings out. And that's why I'm mentioning this, because I think, towards the end she was kind of laughing, and I hope I helped her a little bit, but I don't know. But you really need to, when it comes to breakups or losing people or something like that, you have to talk about it and let it out and not, hold it in, because that's really, really bad, especially for your mental health. And it's another reason I'm kind of doing podcasts right now is because kind of like on the low-key side, I get to express my feelings and my opinions, and it's actually very therapeutic. I would definitely encourage to try it. Anchor.fm. Go for it. It's an app or a website. That was not sponsored that time. Alright, on to more positive things. And that is what I talked about last week. The Vogue cover and how I didn't like it. But I've had a little bit of more time to review the entire magazine, and I want to go over a few things. Okay, so in the first episode I talked about the cover and how it was very uninteresting. That still stands for me. I really took a look at the cover story on Gal Gadot, and it's not the most interesting, and she's not wearing the most stunning dress on the cover. For cover of Vogue, especially May, going into summer, I expect a little more, and the background is very boring. But the letter from the editor was very political. written by Anna Wintour, and it basically talks about the virus and the election. She talked about the virus a little bit, and that kind of transitioned her into the election, which she talked about mostly. And she said, and I quote, "It is my belief that we should choose Joe Biden." Anna said, and I quote, "I have been impressed with the wider field of Democratic candidates this primary season, many of whom have profiled in Vogue. But after Biden's decisive victories on Super Tuesday, I, like so many Americans, made my mind to rally behind him." I was really surprised to see Anna get so political and make it, a stance that she's standing behind Joe Biden. She did not really have anything to say negatively about her current office, and I respect that. She just thinks that basically Joe could have handled the situation that we're in a lot better, and I'll leave that for you to decide. Other than that, from Vogue, I pulled 2 articles from the May issue that I liked. There was a lot I didn't like, but I'm really not going to get into it because I'd probably be reading half the magazine. I did pull an article from Lynn Yeager, and it's called Eternal Summer, and there's just a really good quote I like, and it's called "Classics are classics for a good reason." And that's all I'm going to say, because she's talking a lot about change and adding weird details to certain parts of clothing to make them unnecessary, and people are just doing everything to make trends, and she's saying that it's not always that. Sometimes it's just taking the same garment and making a new stunning pattern for the next season. All right, and another article I found really interesting was High Seasons by Emma Elwick Bates. And again, this is all in the Vogue May 2020 edition. If I go off onto another magazine or another brand, I will let you know. But she wrote this article talking about knee-high dress boots and basically just long boots. And the caption is, "It sounds counterintuitive, but this spring, a long boot is all you're going to want to wear." And it caught my eye, and I read the article, and I was surprised to see some of the facts. And for summer runways, and these are runways that already happened, Yves Saint Laurent, all of that, they appeared in 43 runway looks for the summer, which I was so shocked, because boots are a fall spring thing. They're definitely not always worn in the summer. Summer is definitely a sandal season. But the winter boot is taking confident strides into spring, it says. And I'm okay with that. I love a high boot. All right, and that is really all I have for this week. Other than news, which there's not much to get into, other than everyone fighting over when and how to reopen the economy and all of the businesses, which is still unfolding, so I will keep you updated on that. And other than that, I basically just have 2 other questions for you, the people who are actually listening and want to listen. Basically, what I've been talking about so far is fashion, music, news, and just me talking in general. But I want to know if there's anything you want to hear specifically. Is there any other topics you'd like me to talk about? Are there any guests you'd like me to have? What would you like to talk about with them? And that's really it. So just give me some feedback on what you'd like to hear. And that's going to wrap it up for